Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the PedalFest Show. And this week we've got Dylan Amsden on from 660 Street. He's one of their photographers. He's an over-the-road truck driver. He's been to over or close to 100 legal events. And if there's a race, you can pretty much guarantee that he's going to be there. Great family guy, amazing photographer. Like anything 660 Street and their guys do is top of the line. Dylan, what's up, brother?
How's it going, man?
I can't complain. Life's good. So tell me a little bit about like 660 Street, like what you guys do, what you guys focus on, and then build on that and go to like events that you guys have been to and places you guys are fixing to go.
All right. Well, Richard started it a couple years ago, and it's kind of weird timing. I also started a media company. Well, me and my wife did, and one of my best friends, we started that Clutch Media back in 2018. And photography is just something that I picked up a camera and I started just doing it. I didn't know how, I didn't know, what the difference was between lenses. I didn't understand anything. And the whole first year, we traveled to 2K. We went out to a whole bunch of local events at Great Lakes Dragway up in Union Grove, Wisconsin, and spent a lot of time just figuring out what we were doing and how we were going to do it. Well, then 2020 came around. I think it was 2020. Yeah, last January, I went to No Trailer 4 in Oklahoma City. And I met Richard for the first time. That was my first time hanging out with Chris Limpy. And it was just a great time. And I knew right then and there I was hooked. That was it. I knew that no matter what, that I was going to do what I had to do to continue to push my photography further and further in order for a shot. And in photography, doing the whole racing stuff, it doesn't get much bigger than 1320, 660 street racing channel. Like, even to shoot with those guys on a regular basis, I was just in awe. And then a couple months later, I went up to Streetcar Takeover OKC with Limpy, and we were hanging out with Richard one day after the event. And he was like, "Oh, you should join the team." And I was in awe, really. Like I was in shock. It's not every day that you get an opportunity like that. Especially for me, like I'm an over-the-road truck driver. I've been doing this for 6 years, traveling all over the place, GTR World Cup finals. I did so much prep, like front half of the track stuff that I didn't see myself doing, streets and more streets, no prep. I always knew that it was fun and I had a great time going and, spectating the events. And then I just started to tune in my skills a little bit more. And then Richard really started pushing me to shoot like in the dark. And after that, man, that was it. Started upgrading equipment. And the next thing you know, I shoot for 660 Street. But we do if it's pretty much a no prep or a back half of the track deal, streets, we're there.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. I think the first time I ran into you guys was Gulfport, Mississippi at Civil War II. And
yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah. Dude, the whole team, like the whole 660 Street team are phenomenal people. Like there's not a one of them that you can't walk up to and talk and hang out with, and shoot the bull with them and get to know them, and then we took off from there and went to the pad the next morning, and like you guys were all there again. And I was like, yo, this is awesome. I get to hang out with like 660 Street. Like I'm having a blast right now. I could not have been more excited to see you guys.
Yeah, that's kind of how it started for me. Like me and my wife, we really took photography serious and really tried doing the Clutch Media thing and growing a name for ourselves. Well, when you get into like the no prep stuff and the street stuff, if you don't make a name for yourself, you don't get the invite. Everybody knows that. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
If you want to be somebody, you have to put in a lot of effort. And last year, or 2019, we were in Edgewater, Ohio, at their track out there. Actually, the track's called Edgewater. It's in Cincinnati. We were there when Dirty 30 rocked. And afterwards, we went and did a little something on the street. And Whitty from 1320 taught me so much about nighttime photography, light painting, how to tune in my settings for, pretty much what I do now. And it was crazy because before that, like, I had shot so much of the super high performance fly trap stuff that, I shot with Whitty a lot. Matt from 1320. I hung out with those guys a lot because I used to drive an auto transporter. So I would move teams like T1 right there out of Texas, out of Royce City. I did a lot for them, AMS Performance, Houston Performance. So I got to do a lot of the sticky track stuff. Well, in that process, I didn't know that I was, grooming myself to what I do now. Yeah. And as I was taking, hints and advice from those guys, that's just where I developed my style, and that's it. I just took off with it and really just put forth the effort to be somebody. I knew eventually I was going to get there with Clutch Media, but I knew that if I jumped on the team with Richard, that I'm accelerating my career at an enormous pace. And the only way to do it is to do these legal events, the street stuff afterwards or the next day. You have to put in the time and the effort. And that's just what I did. I've been doing it for a year and a month now. So I've been doing this for 13 months with 660 Street. And it's just an amazing feeling.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it really does show that hard work and dedication can pay off. It's something you hear everybody say, but it's not something that necessarily everybody takes to heart.
Right.
Whenever I started last year, it was just taking pictures of my friends' cars, and then it grew into the drag strip, and then it grew into like, hey, you want to come with us on the road to go to these events? Do you want to go do this? Stuff like that. And like, it really can, like, the no prep world can be the biggest family you have.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like I travel the country for work, obviously, and I've made friends from Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, all the way out to New Mexico. Victor with the S10.
Victor's done.
Great guys out there. Yeah. All the way, I haven't really done much East Coast stuff because that's just not my thing. I don't like to go to events that I don't know anybody. That's never been my thing. You never know what you're setting yourself up for, especially in the world we live in now. Yeah. When you carry around a backpack with, $10,000 worth of equipment, that if you get robbed for that, that's it. Like, that's the end of all right there. Yeah. Exactly. It's taken me 3 years to get where I'm from, where I was to where I'm at now. And now it's just like, if I don't know anybody on the racing list, I don't go. Yeah. Yeah, I've been to a couple races where like I really didn't know a whole lot of the people, but there would be like one driver that I knew, and that's who I hung out with all right. Weekend. Or he introduced me to this driver and this driver, and you just kind of build up from there. Yep. But yeah, I'm with you, man. All with the exception of the pad. Like, I didn't know anybody at the pad, and I didn't know anybody at Gulfport except for Brent Self. And those were the only. Oh, okay. That was the only person I knew at the pad. And then through him, I met Adam Plunkett and a few of the other Black Sheep Mafia guys. So that was kind of cool. Right on. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, the pad, I was like, I don't know, because they were supposed to have a night race. Yeah, dude, the pad was not. I'll be straight up and honest. If you have never been to the pad, it's not a place that I would invite myself to go hang out at. Like, it was sketchy at best, but it was a great time. Like, after the nerves wore off a little bit, after hearing like the horror stories, everybody hears the horror stories.
Yeah.
But if you stop believing in if you stop believing all the shit that you hear, just word of mouth and the negatives, like granted, going out and going street racing, it's a risk every time you hit the street.
Yeah.
Now, if you believe all the stuff on TV and you just think that, oh, you go out and race for 6 hours and that's it, no cops, no problems, we're going to get all the races done at the same spot, then this is just not for you.
Yeah.
Like there's times where I'll go out with Limpy where, we'll go scout roads 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. 9 o'clock's the driver's meeting. We get first round started at midnight. By 12:05, the cops show up.
Yeah.
1 o'clock, you hit the next spot, and then the next spot, and the next spot. And then Saturday morning, you go out for breakfast to wait for the cops to cool off, and then you go hit the first spot again.
Recycle.
it's not for everybody.
No.
And that's one thing that I get a lot, now that I shoot for 660 Street is, oh, well, it looks like so much fun. The videos, it looks like you guys start at like 2, 3 in the morning and end at 7 or 8 in the morning. Yeah, well, there's times where, we'll be up for 34, 48 hours chasing the dream, and that's what it is, really. Like you had 36 hours and you're like, I'm living.
Yeah, this is where it's at in life.
But when you watch that 45-minute long video and you look at them pictures and you're just like, oh, wow, all right, yeah, that's cool. It took 45 minutes to get a whole street race done. No, that's not the case.
It took 2 days and about 50-something miles between 5 spots.
I mean, if you go to Kentucky, they'll tell you that the spots are about 20 minutes apart. You'll drive 300 miles in 6 hours and not see one race get off. So,
yeah,
I mean, you have your good days and your bad days.
Absolutely.
And that's anybody that wants, I'm on the 660 Street page. And, a lot of people ask, oh, can we come out? Can we come out? It's hard to say yes to new guys.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that no new guys are ever invited. But when you go out on the street, you have to know the code.
Yeah.
Don't invite 35 of your friends that are going to tell 35 more of their friends that tell 110 of their friends. And now all of a sudden you get to a spot with 500 spectators and 8 cars for a shootout.
Yeah. Starting line gets packed. Everything's it gets messy after that.
Yep. The more, and a lot of people, myself included, before I started doing the media thing, I would say it's almost a full-time gig that just rides side by side with driving truck.
Yep.
And, that's probably the biggest thing that I get the most messages on is, oh, how do we get invited to be a spectator? Well, spectators and street racing, they just don't go hand in hand.
Not very often.
When you got, $7,000 or $8,000 on the line, 16 cars, nobody has time for that. Spectators don't know what they're doing, and all they do is go on Facebook Live, give away the spot. Next thing you know, they get upset when you got to bounce, 6, 7 spots.
Yep.
When it doesn't get off, for 35 hours, now you got a whole bunch of pissed off drivers that, yeah, they know what they're getting themselves into. But let's face it, nobody wants to be up for 45 hours getting a street race in.
Not at all. So what was what pushed you to buy a camera instead of anything else you could have bought that day? You walked into Best Buy or some store and you bought a camera. What was that catalyst that led you to buying your first camera?
That's kind of a really sensitive subject today.
Oh, really?
Because the person that encouraged me to buy the camera and to go to the local track and shoot, he actually passed away a year ago today.
Sorry to hear that.
And, he passed away doing what he loved. He loved riding motorcycles, and, it's a rough day for a lot of my close friends. He was an all-around great guy. And one day we were sitting at the track, and I'd always shot candid photos with my phone, harassment photos, good meme photos for your friends.
Mhm.
And one day he was like, "Oh, why don't you just go buy a camera?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna go buy a camera and try this." And a couple of the first events I shot were at Great Lakes Dragway. We did street. They have like a Street Wars series that they do up here. And a couple weeks after I bought the camera, I was like, "Hey, man, this is pretty sweet. Like, you get to stand on the starting line. Nobody harasses you, telling me, you got to move." And he was like, "These shots are pretty good. You should stick with this." And for the longest time, I just ran first name, last name photography. And he pushed me in the direction, and now here I am.
That's awesome. So it's kind of like you'll always have a personal attachment to your camera, to that first
Yeah,
camera. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
I got my start, like my kid's mom and I, we just decided we weren't working out and split ways. So I needed a hobby, something to fill that time. Whenever you're with
Same.
somebody for 6 years, you are each other's hobby essentially. And then whenever you don't have that anymore, I could have turned to anything else in the world. And I was just like, I'm gonna go buy a camera. Let's see what this is. And then it just kind of progressed into what it's become now, a year later. I'm definitely glad I bought one,
Yeah,
though. It's been
that's
a therapy.
a lot of people that shoot photography really understand the struggle with addiction.
Mhm.
For me, it was alcoholism. I have no shame in saying it now. I was super bad. Like, I thought after having my son and getting married that I'd shape up. I didn't. I'm a truck driver. When you spend 6 days straight in a box, pretty much, you have minimal adult interaction. I didn't know how to act outside of driving truck. It took me a long time to realize that I did not need to drink to go out and have fun. And then when I started shooting, then it was like, wow, this is a great time. I don't need to go to the track and sit up in the stands and drink with my friends to be cool, to kick it. I just was out in my own little world. And to this day, I would say photography keeps me away from leaving what I have now and going back to those ways.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that struggles with addiction can tell you that it takes a lot to break away and to live the good life.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I don't drink every now and then,
Sure.
because but it's a lot less now that I found something, besides being a father, and I have a side by side and the wife, but it's just another one of those things that keeps me so busy. Like, I still have photos from War in the Woods that I need to edit. So tonight after the podcast, instead of going inside buying a 6-pack, I'll just edit for a couple hours till I pass out.
Yeah.
Wake up, run 12, 14 hours tomorrow, and continue to edit it. It really is a good vice to keep you busy.
Yeah, and I can't recall the time I woke up with a hangover after taking pictures. After going through the editing
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. When you edit, like, I think the whole Grand Hustle series, because my friend Dustin, we were really good friends a couple years ago. He went out and had a baby, and I had babies, and we lost touch for a while. Well, then we reconciliated, came back together, and he found out that he has a passion for photography as well. Well, he didn't have a computer at the time, so when I did the Grand Hustle photos, I edited mine and his. It was just shy of 5,000 photos that we took in 48 hours from the event and then the pad. Well, it took me about 10 hours just to sort and segregate the photos. And then I got to editing. I edited for, I think, 4.5 days. And that was brutal.
Yeah.
But I published some of my favorite photos that I've taken to date.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a blast at that event at Civil War II. I wasn't sure what to expect whenever I got there, but I'm glad I went. I've never been to.
Oh yeah, it was cold.
Yeah. Yo, my buddy Brad, he was all in his like his camo coveralls and all of his heavy winter gear, and I'm like, it is cold. Like, I'm not gonna take that
Yeah,
away.
I mean, Saturday morning when we had gotten there, it was only in the 40s. And I'm from Wisconsin, and I spent so much time out of state, like in Texas, Oklahoma. And when we got there and it was 40 degrees, I was cold. And it shaped up to be a really, really good day. All the way up until like 11 o'clock at night. By midnight, I was freezing.
Yeah.
I had to go stand by the portable heater. It was brutal, but it was worth it.
Oh yeah. It was like a 14-hour drive for me. And like, I got a buddy that lives just on the other side of Gulfport, on the western side of Gulfport. And so I stayed there at his house, but man, it was worth the drive for me just to go and experience a Grand Hustle race. And I will be back for more of them.
I had the worst luck that week. Like, I didn't even know if I was going to make it. So I started in Wisconsin. I left Wisconsin, went over to Detroit. I loaded out of Detroit, and it was just brutal. Like, none of the cars were where they were supposed to be. And it was a rough Tuesday. Well, then Wednesday, I had hit the road, and my check engine light came on. So then I made it all the way to San Antonio and delivered Wednesday. And then Thursday, we reloaded out of Dallas. I jumped in the truck with Dustin, left my truck in Dallas to get looked at, and left. Well, then we stayed in a hotel Thursday and showed up to Gulfport. We actually parked right in New Orleans. And then Limpy picked us up from the truck stop. We rolled in, and we didn't get to Gulfport till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night Friday.
Yeah.
And then, like, every time that I do a legal event and it's really big, I just get like this weird, like, overexcited anxiety, and I can't sleep. And I'll just lay in bed and I'm like, woo, tomorrow's gonna be great.
Yep.
And then I'll just lay there, and then I'll fall out for a couple hours. And then when I wake up, I'm like, yeah. You get to the truck and then you're like, oh man, where's the Red Bulls at?
Dragon tail the whole time.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. What's one of like your hardest lessons you've learned through your career as a photographer in the drag racing world? Either street, track, the GTR World Cup, any of those things. Like, what was your hardest lesson learned?
The hardest lesson I learned, and everybody tuning in, take it with a grain of salt, but the hardest lesson I learned is that photographers do each other dirty so much that you really have to stand your ground. When you constantly have a problem with somebody, eventually you have to tell them enough is enough.
Yep.
That, we're all out here doing the same thing. And just because somebody holds a name does not give you the right to raw dog everybody else trying to make a name for themselves.
Yep. Trying to hijack shots.
Seriously.
Standing in the way.
Standing in the way, cock blocking at its finest. We're all out here doing the same thing. Yep. The more we get along and cooperate and help each other, the better off this sport will be.
Absolutely.
I've learned so much from Limpy and Richard that I don't want to see the sport fall off. I don't want it to ever hit a dead end.
Me neither.
And the only way to continue to grow a sport is to continue to advertise that this sport is going to be something great. And don't, for the love of God, don't do something for the likes. Yeah. Standing inside of guardrails, posting somebody else's wreck just for those, 1,500 views. If you're asked not to do it, just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
If I have shots of a wreck, I delete them at like on the same day. As soon as it's done, I look at them and delete them.
Yeah.
Because that's not something that I would want my kids to see.
Right.
So that's not something that I'm going to publish for your kids to see. Don't do something for the likes and support your other photographers around you. That was one of the biggest things that I've learned in the last 3 or 4 years. And support locals, support racing. Go buy a t-shirt. If you see a stand that's full of t-shirts and everybody else is walking past, go buy something, because that $25 to you buying a t-shirt that you don't know what the hell you just bought, that's somebody's gas money to make an event.
Yeah.
Support everybody you can, because at some point, this world that we live in is so small that one day you might have a flat tire and the only person that can help you is that guy that you shit on two weeks ago at an event, just because you didn't like them or you didn't like their idea, or it's one of those catch-22s. I mean, the world works in a mysterious way, and you never know who you're gonna step on to get where you want to be, and the world just needs to be a better place.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, like, what would you say is your most pivotal moment in your career aside from getting on with 660 Street?
No Trailer 4 in OKC. So kind of a wild story. I was driving into Texas one night and I had to take a 34-hour reset. It was the first one that I've ever done out in Texas. So I was like, man, I wonder if there's any street racing going on this weekend. And, I'd messaged the Limpy page and I gave it a little while. He didn't message me back. So then I messaged his personal page, and we've been friends on Facebook for a year or two at that point. I loved the live feeds. I appreciated all the hard work that, he's put into building the community to where it is. And so I messaged him and I was like, hey, I know this is kind of weird, but I'm a truck driver and I'm in the area. Is there anything going on the street? And he was like, oh yeah, there is. Okay, see, I'll pick you up at 4 or 2 a.m. So this way we get up there by 5 a.m. We're going to do Sunday service. And I said, all right, I'll be ready. Well, I had gotten stuck in construction, and that's just something that happens every day. And I was running late. I barely had time to go inside, take a shower, grab food, get back out to my truck, put my camera gear in the bag, and boom, he was there. And that's right there. That's where everything went from like wild to 110% wild.
Yeah.
Like, until you went on the street after working for 14 hours, like, that's just a mind-blowing experience. And it's not something that a lot of people will ever get to experience, and that's why, the YouTube is so big, Facebook is so big, because it's just not a sport for spectators. And that was probably the pivot in my career as a photographer that said, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, everybody wants to be a part of street racing, but especially like down here in Texas, like if you get caught, it's a misdemeanor. Not just in a car. If you get caught watching, spectating, being within 150 feet, you get, you can catch a misdemeanor with it. And that's why,
right.
And again, like what you guys do with the filming and stuff of these street races and all that, 1320 and everybody else that does what you guys do, you're seeing less and less crowds on the street. You're seeing them, oh, hey, like I can watch this race in a couple weeks on YouTube, I don't have to go out and risk going to jail for the night, which I think is
Right.
because I'm guilty of it. Like I'll sit here after this is over and I'll pull up 660 street videos and watch street racing all night long. Like that's what plays in the background whenever I'm editing photos and doing my stuff. Just because it's like
Yeah.
I'm so consumed by drag racing. Like every aspect of it. I say every aspect of it. Top Fuel cars. I've never been to a Top Fuel event, but I've watched them on YouTube and they just don't do anything for me there. So I think if I was at one of their events, like, yeah, it'd be different. But like street cars, watching races that I've been to, watching those videos, that kind of stuff. That's what consumes almost my whole day. And
Oh yeah.
I love it. I love every part of drag racing. I say that only because I don't have a car to race with. So I'm sure if I had a car,
Yeah.
it'd be like a different story. It'd be a love-hate relationship with it, but I love drag racing.
I actually had a turn, like I enjoyed shooting photography, right? Like that was my thing for a while. And then I was like, I don't know what happened, but I flipped a couple cars and I was like, I'm gonna build a street car. I got the motor dropped into my Malibu, and then I went to 2K in 2019, and I was standing around with a whole bunch of people that I knew from back home. We were at the track, and my boss AJ, he was like, "Oh yeah, street cars are fun, but what happens if you get caught? You have a CDL, you have kids to provide for, and what does it really cost to be competitive nowadays?" And I started thinking about it, and it got me in my feelings a little bit because I'm one of these kind of guys where if you set your mind to it, you're gonna get it done. And then I was thinking about, the money spent, and then I was realizing like if I want to build a streetcar, that takes away from all my travel money for traveling the streets and doing no prep stuff. I'm a lot like you. I don't really get a kick out of world records being set on a sticky track anymore. I enjoy, the sketchier the better.
Yeah.
If it's sketchy, I'm in.
Yeah.
If there's a chance we're gonna get run off by the police, I'm in. If there's a chance that I'm gonna be up for 3 days to see a street race get off, I'm in.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like for me, having a CDL, I'm not really in a predicament to get caught street racing.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. So I gave up the dream of building a street car. I sold everything and I upgraded my camera stuff. And then a year after that, my grandpa had passed away and I'd gotten 86 Monte Carlo SS, and it was rough. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll take a stab at building another street car. And then I started looking at it, started thinking about it, and I just decided I'm a photographer full time. You can't be behind the wheel and taking pictures at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I've wanted to build a street car, but at the same time, I'm right there with you. It's like, excuse me, if I do that, that's money I could be throwing at other things, upgrading camera gear,
Right.
Going on trips and stuff like that. So that's why I haven't.
Yep.
It's more fun for me to take pictures of stuff going on than it is to participate in the things going on.
Yeah, that's definitely where I'm at too. Is like, I don't know how much you pay attention to my style, but I love getting the candid shots.
The driver interaction.
Yes, I love getting those memory shots. The part of photography that really engulfed my passion for it was just being real. Not so much as like the whole Photoshop thing. Like that's not my deal.
Yeah.
When you see a photo that I've taken, the emotions are raw. The sky is raw. You could see what the weather was that day. You could see the amount of emotion in a racer's face when he comes back and wins. You see all those fine details through a lens, and it really changes your perspective of photography. You're not out there just shooting in the dark, you know, at what's going to get the most likes. You're out there capturing moments that people are going to remember for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
When you look at, when you look at the album that I posted from Texas in February, when you look at that album, you're going to go, wow, you could see the breath, in the air. You can see the warehouses. You can see, you could see raw emotion. You can see, people getting upset. You can see people laughing and enjoying it. You can see, when people are letting off the button. And that's just something that drives me to shoot better in all reality.
Yeah. And there's not many people those are things that often get missed at,
Yes.
whether it's the drag strip or the street. You don't get to see. A lot of people are so focused on the cars. Sorry, I've got allergy issues today for whatever reason.
That's all right.
You don't get to see a lot of driver interaction. You don't, especially in no prep, you don't get pictures of the driver with fans, and you don't get them with their crew working. You just get takeoff, launch, top in, take off,
yes,
top in. And
something I'm guilty of. Woody has really taught me a lot of what I know today. Mm-hmm. And another one of the life lessons that he taught me is that when you are at an event, seeing cars launch, pulling the wheels, those make for great photos. But what makes for great photography is getting cars coming off the trailer. Yeah. When cars are rolling through the pits, if you catch somebody, driving around the pits, warming their car up, and the clouds are, the layers of clouds. You're a photographer, you know what I'm talking about, where you just catch like the car's sitting here and you just see clouds in the background, the sun shining over here. You get that perfect overlay. The paint looks like it's brand new. Mm-hmm. Those kind of photos are photos that a lot of people just don't try to go get. They would rather stand on the line and grab 100 photos of a car doing a burnout, a car making a hit, and that's it.
Yeah. There's so much more at an event.
I am a very firm believer that if you are standing at the line for 13 hours a day, grabbing photos that everybody can watch in a video, mm-hmm. then you're not doing it for the love of photography. You're doing it for the love of being in the spotlight, if that makes sense. And I'm not really throwing shade. It's just my opinion and how I feel is that if you're standing on the line all day for 18 hours and missing everything else going on around you, you're not doing it for the love of photography. You're just doing it for the love of being in the front row.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And like I said, there's so much you miss by being stuck. I know people, they'll go out an hour before the event starts and stake out their spot at the starting line.
Yeah, that's not me. When gates open, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. In the pit,
oh yeah,
return road, wherever. Like it.
See,
I'll go stand up in the stands and take pictures of crowds being in the stands.
See, that's where I lack a little bit. If you ever have checked out my albums, you won't see a pan photo in there at all. It's one thing that I don't understand. I'm not good at it, and I tried it a little bit at War in the Woods. I stood on the big end and tried, and it wasn't pretty.
It's hard.
And that's one thing that I will say, like the group of photographers that I surround myself with now, they are all very firm believers in quality over quantity. And I appreciate that. Nobody wants to see a blurred out photo where the only thing in focus is the tree.
Yep.
So that's one thing that I've learned throughout the years. And, you know, sure, everybody loves a good wheelie shot, but a lot of people will respect the fact that you got, you know, somebody walking their dog through the pits 10 times more than they'll appreciate a wheelie photo that everybody else got.
And I kind of plan my day out. You know, like I'll start off, I'll get maybe first round at the starting line. And then second round, third round, I'll be mid-track.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, I'll be as far down the track as I can get. I have like a little checklist that I go through every day. You know, every event I go to, it's starting line shots, because you know some drivers they love their starting line shots. Half track panning shots, I love getting those. Top end parachute shots, love getting those. Whenever I'm done with all that, I'll go walk the pits. You know, and about the time that it comes down to me leaving the top end is usually about golden hour. That's when I like to go in the pits, shoot those guys' cars, you know, them working on the cars, shoot them interacting with fans and the crowd and each other, you know, those kind of shots, because to me the lighting's better for that. You can shoot all the rest of those shots early in the day, and if that's all you came for with starting line shots, you could be done in an hour, 2 hours, whatever, you know, however long.
For me, when I go shoot an event by myself, if it's a big car count, you'll catch me in the middle, standing, you know, probably 30 feet in front of Limpy. The first round, I get everybody's car doing a burnout. I get everybody's car backing up, you know, because those make for great shots. You know, you get to see, you know, a little bit of the fans in the background. You see the person doing this, or this, and you get to see just a straight shot of the back end of the car. And everybody loves those photos, right? And you don't necessarily shoot for the masses, but it's always a good feeling when 30,000 people see one photo.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I try to shoot every car, because in every street race or every no prep race, you have a crowd of ducks. More times than not, they think they're a duck and they're actually really competitive. So my thing has always been, everybody gets a photo. I won't say that I shoot everybody's car in the pits, because when I'm out there by myself doing an event, I really enjoy hanging out and talking to people. I love talking. That's what I do every day. And, you know, so I won't say that I get everybody's car in the pit, but I guarantee from that event, you will catch 50 pictures of your car in the pit.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it's not so much of, I will go get those photos. It's, I want to go get those photos.
Yeah.
And, you know, even on the starting line, like I started shooting with a polarizer recently, and now I just enjoy shooting right through the windshield and getting those raw emotions seconds before they let go of the button.
Yeah. Those are, like, I've started shooting more of like on the takeoff, shooting through the driver's windshield and not just focusing on clip, you know, because then you get to see their eyes open up, you know, assuming that they don't have a tinted visor or anything like that, but you get to see their eyes open up, you know, you see their hand come up off the trans brake. Those shots are they're different, you know, it's
and not everybody
does.
Right. And not everybody does it. Not everybody has the patience to learn it. Not everybody tries.
Yeah. Speaking of like people trying different stuff, what changes would you like to see in the automotive photography industry, and even more broken down, like the drag strip photography? What would you like to see changes in that industry?
As far as like other photographers, or as a whole?
Both, other photographers and as a whole.
I just want to see people be more friendly to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're shooting at a big event, be aware of your surroundings. Don't get caught. Let me see. Don't get caught looking like this all day.
Yeah.
You know, if everybody sees a picture of this all day, other photographers are going to get upset. And one thing that all of us need to understand, myself included, when you're snapping photos for an event, War in the Woods, the Big End Banger, just Detroit Hood, Pour Your Own Prep. Those are some of the events up here that are closer to me. But even for you, Brawl in the Falls, Park After Dark. I know we're probably all going to be at Street Wars together.
Mhm.
When you're standing next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, and you're looking through the lens like this, if you can see out of the corner of your eye another photographer, you are not doing your job properly. If you're stacked on top of each other, you're not going to get good quality, number one. And number two, as photographers, videographers, as big companies, little companies, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, you're advertising for an event.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We're all, I'm not even to the point where I would call myself a professional. But whether you're at the just starting out stage or you're shooting for 660, 1320, street race channel, when you shoot for a big name, you have a big head on your shoulders that everybody tries to one up, right?
Yeah.
Like it's always the little guy wants to take out the big guy. Well, standing in front of somebody, that's not doing anybody a favor.
No, that's not doing any good.
All you're doing is you're causing tension and friction where it doesn't need to be. I mean, most of the events that I cover are 660 foot. If your favorite is to pan, don't pan from the starting line where everybody else is going to be. If you're a guy like me, I use a 24 to 70 and a 24 to 105 that came with my R5 or R6. I only focus on short. I'm not a good panner. I'll never claim to be. I don't like the big end. So if we all work together, we could have a really strong community. But when you constantly try to battle each other, it's not good for anybody. And it's not good for the sport. The more good advertising this sport has, the more people will pick up a wrench and go build a car.
The more spectators will come out and the more media people, I love
the more
seeing,
we will all get a chance to be put on the big screen.
Yeah.
A lot of people that shoot, I will say 75 to 80% of people that I talk to on a weekly basis at a track or on the street all have the same story. Well, I just want this, or I just want that. If you're only doing it for a small reason, like for me, I love not being able to hear anything for 3 days after an event.
Mm-hmm.
I love, I wear contacts. If I go home and my contacts come out with one poke, I'm upset. Like I didn't have enough alcohol burning them things to my eyeballs. Like I love the whole feeling of being there. I love the camaraderie in the pits. I love the emotion at the end of a final when both teams come together and they're like, "Hey, that was a race."
Yeah.
I love the whole sport of it. If you're just doing it to stand in everybody else's way, you're not doing it for the right reason.
And a lot of the times, like you'll see me if I am standing close to another photographer, in between passes, I'll be like, "Hey, I'm gonna actually move like behind you a little bit," or "Hey, I'm gonna go up in front of you a little bit." Like this
Right.
last my 70 to 200, the motor went out. Go figure. Right
I
before
hated mine. I actually sold it.
Bro, I wish I would have known because I would have bought it in a heartbeat. Mine died.
I literally just sold it like a month ago.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
mine's dead. I love my 7200, man. The compression. I shoot a crop sensor, but the
Uh,
compression on it. Oh, I just love the way the photos look. But I was using my 18 to 135, and one of the photographers there, like we were shooting kind of close together. But I told I'd like tap him on the shoulder, like, hey, I'm behind you. If you pan around, if you're gonna pan, I'm gonna duck and get out of your way. Don't think that
hmm
I'm trying to be in your way or nothing. And or
Between
like,
races, like I'm 6'2". I'm a truck driver. I'm kind of on the hefty side.
yeah.
When I'm standing out there, I ask, "Hey, am I in your way?"
Mhm.
No. All right. Well, you're short as shit. So how about you stand over here? I'm gonna move behind you because I can tower over the top of you and still get what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I can still get what I'm looking for. They can still get what they're looking for.
Yes,
We all work together. It's
it's
like,
all a team effort.
yeah,
It's a puzzle, right? If I have five different puzzles, five different people out here trying to shoot the same thing that I'm trying, I'm going to make those puzzle pieces work together because the minute you try to mix all five puzzles in the same spot
nothing works.
and nobody wants to mesh together and we all want to be different, we're all trying to get different angles. The more you work together, the better everybody else's stuff's going to look.
100% agree with that.
When you take a picture that's this big and now you got somebody standing right here in the center of it, now you got this big of a photo, you're not winning.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to win on that one, especially like if they're standing in half
Especially on
your
the
frame.
street.
What's that? Oh, especially on the street. Yeah, no kidding there. If they're standing in half of your photo, well, if the car is a quarter on the other side of them, like you're not going to get it. Like you're not going to crop that photo out. That photo is now going to the recycle bin
Yeah,
to go
seriously.
to die.
Yep.
What's like one of those bucket list races or bucket list opportunities that whenever you started, you said, or maybe even not even when you started, but like as you've progressed, like you said, I want to go and do this, and it hasn't happened yet. Like, what is that one defining bucket list, like number one on the list moment for you?
Well, up until January, I've always wanted to go to the pad.
Mhm.
Always. Just the atmosphere, the barbecue. Like you were there. If you've never had a burger off the back of a U-Haul truck, you're missing
Bro,
out. Seriously. The
food truck.
U-Haul barbecue truck, that was by far the best food I've ever had at a track or street race.
I can't
No, but
disagree with
now
this.
I think now my next milestone is shooting out in Cali, out at the Foo.
Mm-hmm.
The mountains in the background, the green fields on both sides of the road. Now I definitely want to get out to California.
Yeah, you won't hear me say this very
Um,
often, but that one would be fun in California. I
oh
don't.
yeah, that's something that I really want to check off my bucket list. The New Mexico road that they use
Mhm.
with the mountains in the background. I'm all about being different. I'm all about trying, and I just want to do it. I want to say that I was there on the street. My goal over the next 5 years is to travel more without taking away time from my kids.
Yeah.
So I'm a truck driver. I pretty much shoot every other weekend, year round, and I want to travel more. I want to go up to New York where they race on the freeway out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to shoot some of those photos.
Yeah.
Like I want to take my skill set and travel more with it.
Go other places.
Yeah. Maybe come shoot some of them big tire pro mods out in Vegas or, do something cool.
Yeah.
You let me know when.
Man, I'll tell you, like, one of my it's always been a bucket list item, right? Like Dubai. Always have wanted to go to Dubai.
I will not go out of country.
Bro, I want to go to Dubai and I want to go shoot some of the like the crazy supercar graveyards. This is totally
Oh,
unrelated to no
okay.
prep, but like some of the supercar graveyards where it's just parking garages with every kind of car you can imagine from top to bottom, just
Yeah.
abandoned. And then I want to go to the Stockholm. Uh,
Oh, the Stockholm Open.
yes,
Yep.
and then Isle of Man
That's
TT.
definitely a bucket list. Like, I want to go to Summer Nats in Australia,
Yeah,
but I just don't, like, I'm a simple kind of guy. I don't like the idea of leaving the country. I, if you look at the last year of our lives, if anything that you should have gained out of the whole coronavirus pandemic scare, whatever you believe in, is that life here in America can change so fast. I mean, just last week I was out in the Carolinas. Everything was fine and great. I was in Myrtle Beach a couple weekends ago, and now all of a sudden there's a gas shortage.
Mhm.
People are waiting 3 to 4 hours at a fuel island to do their job. And I can't say never because my wife wants to go to Mexico and Jamaica. And so I'll probably leave the country for those events, but I don't ever want to be more than 24 hours away from home by car. I have 2 kids at home that look up to me and they need me.
Yeah.
If anything in this country ever turns south, you best believe you'll see a white Volvo flying down the freeway 90 miles an hour, and I'm on my way back to the house because my kids need me.
Yeah. No,
I'm
totally.
not trying to go out of country and then come back to some kind of sickness that took over half the country. Now I have to be quarantined for my kids for 2, 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
I just don't ever want to risk that.
I can respect that. Absolutely. Um, yeah, just those three events. Well, Dubai, Stockholm, and then the Isle of Man TT. So I used to ride a motorcycle too, and like growing up, not growing up, but whenever I started riding bikes and stuff, like I'd always watch videos of Isle of Man TT just because it's the world's most challenging road course, and it's one of the craziest events from everybody I've ever talked to that they've ever been to. You know, you got bikes that are going 220 miles an hour around an island.
That's wild.
Oh, it's insane. It's absolutely something I want to go witness or go watch or go. I don't want to participate in it. I have no care in the world to participate in that, but I want to go visually see it, taste it, smell it, experience it for myself one time. I'll go one time and then I won't do it again. But yeah, that's my little not necessarily no prepper street moment
Yeah,
in there. That's just one of those deals like I want to do it so bad. If I ever get the opportunity, I mean the opportunity is always there. We live in, I'll just say it, one of the best countries in the world that allows us to travel and go wherever in the world we want to go. But
oh yeah.
um what's one lesson you wish you would have known sooner? Like if you would have known this just a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year sooner, you feel like you could be on your next level.
Um, I don't I don't really look back, to be honest. I take everything with a grain of salt and I move forward.
Yeah.
I
Just always
mean,
keep pushing.
I'm 29 years old now. I've got 2 kids and a wife that, they need me. I don't look back at yesterday and say, "Oh wow, if I would have went this route, I could have saved myself 5 minutes." I look at my today. I look at every day. Part of it is the truck driving career that I work. Like police officers, firemen, EMS. You don't take what happened today and look at how you could apply it yesterday. You look at what happens today and look at how you can apply it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
The only lesson that I've really taken throughout the whole career of being a father, of being a husband, of being a photographer that is at a level that a lot of people strive to get to is that never give up. Don't ever look at yesterday and say, oh, wow, I really messed up. I should have shot this way. Look at those pictures. Look at that last text from your wife, your girlfriend, and say, this is what I'm going to do to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you constantly look back and live in the past and think of what could have been different, you'll never see what you can do now and move forward.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I think everybody should listen to it. You should hear it, and you should plant it in the back of your head and save it for a rainy day.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many times we've wanted to travel, and now it's going to rain. Oh, I should have made plans to go over here. No, not necessarily. Now you could take that time and spend it with your kids, spend it with your wife. Spend it doing something that's going to make for a better tomorrow.
Yeah. Build another memory. Absolutely.
Right. Don't ever look back. If you made choices for the good or the bad, yeah. I'll be the first to attest to it. I drank for 4 years straight. Pretty much that's what I did. Every day I held low budget jobs. I didn't care about tomorrow. And I literally have on my forearms tattooed, it says, live for today, hope for tomorrow. And that's how I lived my life.
That's pretty cool.
And now I still live that way.
Yeah.
But now you got to think of, instead of what happened yesterday, now it's what's going to happen on Friday when I get home, or what's going to happen next week, what's going to happen in a month. You need to have goals. You need to set yourself up for success. If you're looking back, you're not going to look at what's ahead of you and where your next move is.
That's solid.
You got to do yourself a favor and think about where you're going to be and not where you've been.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I mean, it's a cliche saying, but that holds true to what you just said. There's a reason why the mirror is so small and the windshield's so big. We're supposed to be focused on what's ahead of us, not what's behind us. Could not agree with you more than that.
The only time you should be looking back is to revisit the good times. Don't look at mistakes you've made. Don't look at, I guess you could look at the mistakes you've made and take that as a lesson and a learning curve. But you always got to move forward. If you're always looking back, your chances of success staring in the rearview mirror are slim to none.
Yeah. Yep. Unless you're taking, like you said, unless you're taking those as lessons and not like, oh, I should have, but oh, hey, I could have done something a little different or better here to help improve where I'm at now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
How do you improve on, do you catch yourself like trying new things and improving with your edits as time goes on? Or have you kind of maintained the same, not necessarily the same, it sounds like you're in a stalemate, but like, have you remained your style in editing, or have you like changed it up until you tweaked it and found what you like?
I have stayed almost true to how I started throughout the whole process. My whole thing is realism, man. I can't say nobody. There's a lot of people out there that love Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my thing. I can't add layers to make something look better. I mean, if you show up on race day with a big ass pimple on your nose, guess what's going to be on your photo? A pimple on your nose. When I'm just a very realistic, I find my style of photography very, very realistic. I mean, I don't see the point in changing the color of somebody's car. The color, if you showed up looking like a sheet of paper, you're going to be on camera looking like a sheet of paper. I mean, if you have some wicked sunglass tan line, and you got perma glasses going on, you're going to see that in a photo. Yep, just like that. If you
because I always wear my hat backwards.
Yeah, that's just my style. I will always be a realist. I will be that guy from now forever.
Yeah. And there's
I
nothing
just
wrong with that.
don't, and I don't see the point in, you know, changing everything about a photo to make it your way.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's car is red, I'm not going to change the color to blue because I think it'll look better. I'm going to get a picture of your red car and say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what SD card I have in here now, but oh, War in the Woods. Here we go. If you look, I don't know if you could see it really well, but if you look at this photo here,
Mm-hmm.
when you go onto the 660 Street page, you're going to see exactly this photo. What it looks like on the back of my camera. Sure, I'll go in and I'll clean it up a little bit. Maybe I'll, you know, crop the crowd out a little bit to give it that more focused in style. But you're not going to see me changing cars from yellow to green or blue to red, or, you know, I just don't do it like that. And that's always been my style since I started. And that's just what it'll be.
Heck yeah. And there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with any of that. Like, to me, you know, there are, like, if you're doing, I don't know, if we worked in a different industry, like we were taking pictures for a dealership or something like that, you know, and they had
Right.
15 cars and 20, you know, they're all different colors.
Mm-hmm.
You could save yourself a lot of time by changing that car's color.
Oh yeah, blue to red, red to green, green to purple, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like if you were doing you know, like modeling shoots.
Mhm.
Sure. Nobody wants to be on TV looking like a piece of paper.
Right.
Sure. If that's the
Something
style that you're doing, then yeah, absolutely go for it.
Yep.
But, you know, applying the same, like I'm guilty. I use a very select few presets.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I think I use the same 5 presets that I've come up with over the last 3 years. And that's just what I work off of. And you won't, like, right now, take it as shade or doom or gloom. But right now, there's a huge trend with everybody turning the saturation or temperature all the way to yellow.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be yourself.
Right.
If you find a system and a way to make things work and how you want it to look, then all right. But don't just do something to fit in with everybody else, because as a photographer, that's like your only job is to be different. Don't be afraid to be different.
Yep.
If everybody else wants to turn the whole photo purple, break the trend.
Turn yours green or
Drop a
something.
natural, yeah, turn it green, turn it purple, you know, turn it yellow, turn it teal. I don't know, but don't be afraid to be different.
Yeah.
Photography is a form of art.
Mhm.
If you take 15 artists, you give them the same piece of paper, and everybody paints their canvas black, what separates you from everybody else?
Not a thing.
Nothing.
It's the guy that goes in there and paints the whole canvas white, even though it's already white whenever 14 of the rest of them painted it black.
You slap some gloss white on it, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh wow, who's that guy?"
Yep. It's all. I mean, that's.
Can I get you to autograph this? Or,
Mhm.
you know, like yesterday was a huge milestone for me. I sold my first photo at 660 Street,
Sweet, dude.
and it was a great feeling.
Yeah.
And it was literally the blue waffle. It was really cold that day. He has fender exit exhaust, and in the passenger side of the exhaust, all you could see is Fred's head just floating there. And you know, like the street light is perfect, the lighting is perfect, but when you look at that photo, you're gonna see a bluish purple old Chevy, you know, and you're gonna see the cold in the photo. You're gonna go, wow, that looks like it was pretty chilly. You know, when you look at the photos, you want to say, I remember that it was 40 degrees that night. It was freezing cold. I was wearing gloves. Snot was running out of my nose. It was epic. It was a great night of street racing.
Yeah.
You know, like I think I have now 40,000 photos on my phone. I airdrop everything from my computer to my phone because I don't want to ever lose
Those.
what I've done.
Yeah.
And so when you like, if somebody were to steal my phone tomorrow, they will see the very first picture I've taken and what I do now. And the only thing that's going to be different is the quality of the photo. It'll still be very realistic.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I started shooting, I was shooting with a T6 Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that the quality is not going to be that great.
I shot
know,
with
when you
all
buy
the
it-
way until 3 months ago.
Right? So you know the difference. You know, and then you could see when I bought the 70D. Then you could see when I bought the 80D. Then I went to a 5D Mark IV. Then I went to the R6. So you'll see the progression in the equipment that I purchased over the years. But you won't see a style change.
Dude, I'm terrified of losing photos that I've taken, right? I've got my
Oh,
first,
yeah.
I've got the first SD card that I bought with the camera. Haven't deleted anything off of it. It's like a 32 gig, 95 megabits per second read and write speed. I didn't know what I was
Wow.
doing. I just bought an SD card, you know. I've got that
Yeah.
SD card still full, and every SD card since then is still full. I don't delete my
don't-
SD cards. So I've got I don't delete my SD cards. I don't delete I transfer everything off of those onto Dropbox. From there, I also back everything up to I've got a terabyte hard drive. I back everything up to those, back everything, like everything's on my computer, everything's on my phone. Like I've got backups on backups on backups because I never want to lose anything I've ever taken.
Yeah, for me, I cycled through the same 5 SD cards.
Really?
The R6 holds 2. The 5D holds 1, and I have 2 spares.
Nice.
When I'm done editing, everything goes from Lightroom to the external hard drive, and then I go off of the external hard drive and watermark everything. And it's worked out for me so far, except just not having the knowledge. I bought a cheap external hard drive like 2 years ago. Well, when it got full, it had a malfunction. And when it had a malfunction, I lost like probably the first 2 years of photography that I've done. And it wasn't really that big of a loss for me. I don't know. It was one of them bittersweet moments. It was like, wow, I just lost 2 years of photography.
Yeah. It's like I just lost 2 years of everything I put my heart and soul into.
Right. And then that's why I started sending them to my phone now and backing them up that way, because, the iCloud's forever long.
Yeah. It's hard to lose things on the cloud unless you forget your password, which I've done twice.
Oh no. Not me.
It was all stuff like before I got into photography is whenever I lost all my stuff on the cloud. Like I lost pictures of like the kids and all that stuff. I was like, oh, come on. But luckily I have a friend that, I send a lot of stuff to them and they back everything up for me as well. So
that's always good to have.
Yeah. Didn't lose everything forever, just for a little bit. What would you say is like, what's your go-to settings for, let's say, midday and night for shooting like on the street and on the track?
Oh man, putting me on the spot. I got a cheat sheet right here that I got to look at.
Oh yeah, I do the same.
I would say at the track, midday, I shoot ISO is at 100 always. Always shoot at your lowest ISO. And sometimes my shutter speed's at 100, and sometimes I get really wild. I'll crank it up to like 500. And that's, let's see, here's 200.
Hell yeah.
And then, but then there's sometimes where, let's see, where's the driver shot? Sometimes you'll have like that perfect opportunity for one of these. And this is at 40.
Oh yeah.
And those are just the kind of photos that I really enjoy taking.
Yeah.
But then at night, man, I don't know. ISO gets turned to like on this camera. I don't know if I have any street stuff on this card. Actually, I do, because I shot Friday night streets in Indianapolis. Nights for me, I also shoot mirrorless, so it's a huge difference. At night is 12,800 ISO and shutter speed's at 50.
Yeah.
It's still crispy, not a whole lot of grain. And, everybody is afraid of the grain. Don't be afraid. I mean, that's at, let's see. Yeah, that's at 12,000 ISO.
Shoot.
I mean, crop sensor, it'll be a little bit different, right? Like, you can't crank ISO on a crop sensor and expect for a flawless photo.
Yeah.
The 5D Mark IV, that was really good. It is really, really good for low light. Honestly, I think that it's better than the mirrorless, but I also haven't had my mirrorless for long enough to really, figure everything out. I just jump to what I know works, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
I just like to stay consistent.
Yeah. If you ever want to get rid of that 5D, you just give me a call. Because I may be interested in it. I've got an 80D right now, and I love it. It's it's so much.
I literally just sold my 80D.
Really?
For pennies. If I tell you what I sold it for, it'll hurt your feelings. I sold the 80D with 2 kit lenses, a 50 millimeter and a 24 millimeter. I sold it for $700. I'm a very firm believer of the next wave of photography, right? And I know that not everybody out there is ready to make that jump. When you're spending $1,300 on a body, $1,500, the R6 was $3,800, I think, for the kit. When you're spending that kind of money, especially as a new photographer, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're going to need. And, if I have it and you need it, chances are you're going to get it for like half price, because I know what it's like to buy all the wrong equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, a T6 brand new out of the box is $680 right now. And if you buy it for photography, you better be doing car shows, because that's about all you're going to get.
Yeah.
During the day, no nighttime car show.
Yeah. No.
If you're doing,
have good light with T6.
Even like the 70 and 80D, I didn't have much luck with it on the street.
Yeah. The low light capabilities not that good.
The low light capabilities of a crop sensor is just unmatched with a full frame or a mirrorless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, whenever I was shooting like with my T7 at the drag strip and stuff, like whenever I first started, I was using my 50 1.8. And
the nifty 50.
Yeah, loved that lens. I had that thing. I actually gave it to a kid that I'm mentoring right now for automotive photography and stuff. Like he's my fill-in now at the drag strip while I get to travel and go venture the country.
That's awesome.
And like he's really excited. We've got like Funny Car Chaos coming up this weekend at Pinwell, and he's so about it. He's 15 years old, He's got the drive and the ability. His work
The
is
only thing that I really don't like about like the Nifty 50 or the 24
Mhm.
is the fixed position.
Yeah, you can't. There's no zoom. There's no getting
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
If anybody was going to jump into it today and ask me what they needed for like the perfect all around, do everything, end all of photography, I don't care what kind of body you get. If you don't buy a 24-70, you just ain't living. Like this 24-70 2.8 is just my go-to.
Yeah.
I've never even used a different lens on my R6 yet.
Oh, really?
It's just the perfect focal point. You know, it's the perfect distance. You know, the 24 or the 70 to 200 is great. If you're sitting up in the grandstands and you want to take a picture of a dog that's on the other side of the track. But when you want to get like up close and personal, it's just, it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
If you could take a 20 or a 70 to 200 and take the same shots that I take, hey, more power to you, but it's just not up close and personal.
Yeah. It's my 70 to 200 was definitely my favorite lens that I had. It just
Have you tried the 24-70 yet?
I haven't. That's why I'm saying that 70 to 200 was my favorite. I got to play with an 85
Oh, yeah.
a little bit. The 85 millimeter was pretty cool. I just don't think that for what I do and how I shoot, I don't know that an 85 would get the love that my 70 to 200 did, or
Oh,
even a
yeah.
24 by 70 if I get one. It's just that I could be further back from where I needed to be to get like the parachute shots, to get the starting line
Oh,
shots.
yeah.
While everybody's
And
crammed
it's,
up on the starting line, I could be half track shooting the takeoffs.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, if you get a 24-70, you got to kind of be like the pit bull. You got to be in there. You got to be
you gotta
willing to
up in
like
it.
fight it out.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be a little bit aggressive to get what you want. But at the end of the day, the quality is going to be just insane.
Yeah. And you said that's a 2.8 or 1.8?
Mm-hmm.
2.8.
It's a 2.8. I haven't wrapped my head around like the fixed lenses yet.
Yeah.
You know, I see a lot of people right now going into 35s, 84s. I think there's a 70 something out there. You know, Sigma Art, really great lens.
Mhm.
Awesome. Just not my style.
No.
If I'm gonna, unless I go to like, I want to start saving up some money and finding like a variable zoom 1.4. I mean, I think that would just be wild. Like the quality in the dark would just be insane.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I can't do the fixed distance.
Yeah. I've always like my dream lens, and this is goofy as all get out. My dream lens is a 1 to 400.
A 1 to 400?
Yeah, it's a 25 or it's like a 15 to
what's the
$20,000
f-stop on that?
You can, they're rare, but you can find them in like 2.8.
See, now
Those
if
are-
I did that, I would be happy.
Those are the $20,000 lenses, but the
Yeah,
majority
that's
of them
not
on the
gonna happen
market,
for me.
yeah, the majority of them on the market right now are F4s.
I mean, I haven't shot with an F4, so I won't say that I know about it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that that would capture what I like to do in the dark.
No. So my 18 to 135 is an F4. It's like 3.5 to 4.5 or something stupid.
Oh, okay.
It's a kit lens, but low light, I don't like it. I wish I had something different. I wish I had my 20 or my 70 to 200, because I'd shoot night stuff at the track all the time with my 70 to 200, just because it was.
Oh yeah. I mean, the 70 to 200, the 24 to 70, like that was by far the best setup that I've ran.
Yeah.
Until I get a little more trigger time with the R6, like the 5D Mark IV. Like, I don't know if I'll ever sell it because it's like,
It's a good
I
camera.
don't know, man. It's insane.
It's a very capable camera.
Yeah. You know, that's why they haven't really done anything to compete with it, because it's just a classic
Mhm.
that works.
Yeah.
Like if they came out with more megapixel, like a 5D Mark V or Mark VI, where, you know, the megapixels kept up with the mirrorless, but stayed true to the 5D Mark IV,
Mhm.
I would probably spend every last time I had to buy it
Absolutely.
and go back to a regular mirrored camera.
Yeah. Like my buddy Aaron, he shoots the Sony A7 A7 III, whatever
Yeah,
Sony.
A73246, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just you know, like I picked up my first Canon and I've just been brand loyal to them because it's just what I know.
Yeah.
I
Their
don't like
interface
the
is
idea
easy.
of, yeah, the interface is easy. I mean, literally all my settings that I use are my pointer finger and my thumb.
Yeah.
ISO, shutter speed. That's it.
Yeah.
I
And
don't,
block autofocus.
yep,
I love that little button.
autofocus. It just I don't know, man. I just can't get away from Canon. Everybody asks me, they're like, "Oh, Sony's so much better." Well, why?
They're
How is it better?
so the low light on a Sony A7 III R or S or whatever
Yeah,
their deal is, like you can almost take a picture in a pitch black room and be able to tell that there's objects in that room. That's why, like, after we get off here, I'll show you a couple of his pictures that he's taken at Pinwell. Like, I can't pronounce his name, but it's Shots by Aaron on Facebook.
oh,
So if you-
Aaron Cullum.
that's it. Yeah,
Yep.
bro. So I invited him to Bounty Hunter, and he
Yep.
had mainly shot stuff on the street before that. That kid's gonna go places with the drag strip photography, man. I'm telling you right now. He
There's a
very well
lot
could
of
be the
people
next
that,
660 street guy.
yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that really pay attention to what they're doing,
Mhm.
and you know, they'll get their time to shine.
Yeah,
They just have to stay true to what they do.
absolutely. His work is, you know, he's been shooting for a while. I'm not taking away from that or at all. His work is just like, I was blown away. I was like, "Whoa, your first track event, like, bro, you killed it. Good job." You know,
Yeah, I'll have to dig through the archives and find some of the stuff that I did for World Cup finals. Like that was probably my best track photography that I've ever done.
Mhm.
And most of it was at night.
Man,
I
there's
mean,
something-
when you can see like the flames leaving the exhaust, like that's the kind of track stuff that I like to shoot. But I'm telling you, man, nothing beats you know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when you've been up for, you know, 24, 48 hours, and you're like, what eye do I shoot this with?
yeah.
And then all of a sudden you sit down at the computer, you know, the next day. Like, my style is very aggressive. I'd say that I have one of the top 10 most aggressive styles in the country right now. When I go to an event on Saturday, before I go to sleep Sunday night, it's edited and posted.
Yeah.
If I go shoot a street race on a Sunday night, before I start work on Monday, my photos are ready to be posted. Like, I just did a solo shoot with a buddy of mine. He owns Coleman Customs
Okay.
out of Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Well, he just put fire in the pipes on Monday. And so I went over to his place, and I went and hung out at his shop for a little while, and I shot probably 50 photos of his truck. And before 2 o'clock on Tuesday, they were posted and ready to go. They were live. And I just, you know, that's something that I really pride myself in, is the aggressive right now style.
Yeah. Like, I've got, and I'm dragging my feet, and I don't know why, but Brawl in the Falls, usually I'll be number 3 or 4 to release their big tire and small tire stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just haven't had the oomph here lately.
Yeah. Some days it's like that. Like,
yeah,
I I recently went through a career change. I went from auto hauling back to regular freight, switched companies, and when I did, like, I don't know, I just went through this funk of like not shooting as much, only doing starting line stuff, because for me that's the quickest and easiest to edit. And then I went back to working 12, 14 hours a day. And so I just I lost it for a little bit. But being up here in the Midwest, Wisconsin especially, I don't have the weather that you guys are blessed with. So by the time our season gets rolling up here, I've already been shooting all winter down south.
Yeah.
And I travel with Richard and I travel with Limpy. Like I do a lot of stuff in the wintertime when everybody else is shut down and, reconfiguring their setups or, doing whatever at home. Yeah. I'm still out here. I'm still at the track. I'm still at the street. I'm still, fine tuning my skills because, like as wild as it is to say, I want to be somebody. And everybody's like, oh, well, you are somebody. You shoot for 660 Street. Everybody sees your photos. Like, who more do you want to aspire to be? And the answer is, I don't know. I want to leave behind a legacy for my kids to be like, wow, my dad was wild.
Yep.
These photos are cool. Oh, he got to do this. He got to do that. As cookie cutter as it sounds, I just don't want to be the average blue collar American.
Me neither.
I want to leave behind something that lasts forever, and photography is that something for me.
Yep. Like I want it to be able to be, if my kids decide that they want to get into automotive photography, I want them to be able to pick up my old camera, whatever it may be 50 years from now, because I don't ever plan on quitting, and pick up that camera and start rolling right into it,
Yeah.
If that's what they want to do. I say
right.
50 years, that would make me 80. Yeah. I don't think I'll be around at 80.
I didn't think I was going to make 21, but here I am at 29 living.
Heck yeah. Go ahead.
I just I want my kids to chase their dreams and not be afraid of what the next person's going to think.
Yeah.
Like men doing photography, it kind of goes against the grain.
Yeah. There for the longest time.
Being a truck driver in our generation right now is against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
My dad drives truck. My uncle drove truck. My grandpa, my great grandpa, I'm like a 6th or 7th generation truck driver. But in our generation, people are afraid to be themselves, be afraid to have their own opinion. They're afraid to go out and get it because they just think that that's not cool, or, oh, wow, that's a waste of time, or I'm never going to be somebody.
Yeah.
You'll be whoever you set yourself to be.
You pave the groundwork to become who you want to be.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's in drag racing or if it's in photography or if it's.
And it doesn't matter if you're born, right. It doesn't matter if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth or not.
Yeah.
You pave the way for who you want to be the minute you decide to do something with your life.
Yep.
For me, it was photography. And now I feel like I am somebody. And, but if you come talk to me at a drag strip, I'm not going to shun you for not being where I am, because I know what it's like to start out. I know the struggle. I know what it's like to feel that, oh, yeah, when I publish these, nobody's going to look at them anyway, so why do it?
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong. There is somebody out there that's going to adore your photos, and you're going to be somebody.
Yep. To that person, to anybody that you
right
with.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, where can people go to follow you, 660 Street, and everything you guys do? Like what's
Uh,
your social medias and all that stuff?
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube is all 660 Street.
Mhm.
Uh, I run my own TikTok. I'm guilty. It's
So am I.
great. I love it. I'm 660 Street Dylan on TikTok. I have my own Instagram that like I'll do like little sneak peeks of shoots that I've done, or when I'm about to drop an album for a street race or something like that. I have a personal Instagram you can go follow, 660 Street Dylan. It just makes it simple. Everything is 660 Street.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Facebook, Instagram, uh, YouTube, TikTok, whatever you look up, if it says 660 Street, follow it because there'll be something that you're going to want to watch.
Yeah.
I think our latest video that we dropped was the pad right after Mississippi. Great video. We do from half hour quick watch on your lunch breaks to full on movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to watch 3 hours of some wild door to door action? Go look up Grand Hustle Civil War 2. We'll be in the house for Civil War 3 and the come up.
Cannot wait for that one. I was hoping you were going to bring that race up. Cannot wait.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about, like photographers, videographers. You are like, you have such an important job. If your local track is doing something, promote it. Get people in the stands.
Be there.
Every day, racetracks close. If you go to a local track and there's 700 other photographers there, find somewhere, like don't dodge your local track because there's a lot of people there. But find a different track. Find something that needs exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I shot motocross. Never thought that I would have done it ever. I went out for a memorial ride for my oldest friend's cousin that got hit by a drunk driver. I think that was 3 weeks ago now. I went out there. Never shot it before in my life. I ended up coming out with some really good quality photos. Yeah. Like if you have a local facility, support it.
Absolutely.
Before it's gone. You catch me at Muncie Dragway. Those guys do huge things. Big End Bangers. I love going to those. Every year, the first one's on my birthday.
Heck yeah.
So, like support your local stuff. For us, in Wisconsin, it's Great Lakes Dragway. They run a True Street series. I think it's called oh man, I don't even know what it's called anymore. I think it's the Street Shootout or something like that. It's streetcar based, street bikes, but it's a good program. Then we have Anarchy up here at Great Lakes Dragway. We have the MKE street takeovers. Those are fun. Flashlight start. I can't, that's probably one thing that I feel like I've overstressed today, in this interview is that you really have to support your local program. If nobody else is at the track on a ladies' night, go to the local track on a ladies' night.
Be there.
Be there. The more that we grow as photographers. For me, it went from Clutch Media to 660 Street. As I grew, I've started to travel more and more and more and promote bigger things. Now I don't think that I've gone to a no prep race that paid under 10K in probably a year. Mm-hmm. I'm chasing the wild lifestyle. I'm chasing, the bigger payout street races, the true street stuff, not so much, your prep stuff at the track, but whatever you want to do as a photographer, it's your own way. Promote. There's probably a close to 50 races coming up that you really don't see a lot of advertisement for. I know Toby, he's doing a big Memorial Day race. up in Missouri. I think the next thing that I have on my schedule for legal events is going to be Hartshorn, H-Town Throwdown, June 5th. Toby's race is Memorial Day weekend. I have obligations with the kids and the wife, so I won't be there. But if you're in the area, you should be.
Yep.
The more you go and support your local tracks is better.
Yep. The longer
You're
you
not
help
going to
keep
see
them
it.
open.
Yep. The longer they stay open, the more racing you'll get to see. And if you're not into it, that's all right. You don't have to be, but you never know.
Yep. Just go to
Go out
one
and check
race. Try
check a
it
no
once.
prep event out. Go see if your style is the radio prep. No matter what it is, your local off-road parks, motorcycle tracks, just go out and do something. Put the phone down, lock it in a safe for the weekend. Just go out and enjoy life. We're in a generation where everything is run by social media. You have to do what the cool kids are doing. You have to be the first one to post on Facebook in the morning and the last one to post on Instagram at night. You know why everybody's following is so big is so they can see you fail. If you post that, you lost your job today, you'll get 2 likes. You post that you bought a new car, you'll get 2 likes. Nobody cares. It's social media. Our generation is so tied up in acceptance of their peers that you're afraid to do something that's going to benefit you. Put the phone down and go try something new. Go do anything.
Yep. Go do something productive and find a hobby, find something you enjoy doing, and figure a way to make money at it.
Not even, not necessarily even make money at it. If your hobby is to go gamble at the starting line at your local drag strip, at least you're there.
Yep. At least you're
If
there
your
during
thing
the
is to go spectate demolition derbies, then hey, more power to you. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Like the last year has showed us that life outside of the box is pretty good.
If it wasn't for the pandemic, I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
Right? And there's a lot of people that have really found a lot more ways to, donate their time rather than sit on social media or, like I know TikTok is a pandemic right now in itself.
Mm-hmm. You can get lost in that little app.
Oh yeah. I mean, you want to go to bed at 10 o'clock, but you load TikTok up at 9:30, forget about it. I'll talk to you about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I don't know where the hell the last 4 hours of my life went. So I would say, if there's any one thing is to put down the phone, get out and just do something. Go camping, go fishing, go hiking, go $15,000 in debt and buy a side-by-side. Go experience something.
Yeah.
Because life is short.
Absolutely. It's too damn short.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, if it wasn't for the pandemic, like I got laid off in June of last year. Luckily, I bought a camera in February. I've got nothing. I am thankful for the pandemic because it allowed me to be creative and learn. It helped me learn something new.
Yeah, it got you out of the house. It really broadens, like doing the whole photography thing. I have met hundreds of people. And I was given one of the biggest opportunities that I've had, shooting photos. And yeah, it's to work for 660 Street. But there's so many other opportunities. You never know. If you're laid off and your local drag strip is looking for a photographer, hey, apply. I don't care if you shot for a day or a week or a month or, 30 years. Get out there, pick up the camera, pick up a microphone. I know down there, Barrett. I met him 2 years ago at Florida 2K. Great guy.
Yeah.
Announces all over the place. do something. Find a hobby. Just get out of the house, put the phone down, and for the love of God, stop listening to the news.
Could not agree with you more on that one. I don't even have a TV with the news station on it. It's drag racing.
I don't like when I go home, I hang out with the kids, watch a little bit of TV. My son's 4 years old, loves playing Fortnite. Play a couple games of Fortnite, and we're outside. We're doing something.
Yeah.
You know, hold your kids tight and experience life.
That's it.
It's crazy because there's so many people that are our age that are just afraid to try something new.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid to try something new, you're never, I won't say never. There's a lot of people that are content with doing nothing. But I promise, if you go out and you think outside the box and you live a little bit,
you're gonna have
you might just find yourself enjoying life a little bit more.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. Dylan, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. I had fun.
Yeah, anytime.
Well,
as you can tell, I'm kind of long-winded and I do love to talk.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm all right with that. This will be a lot of fun, man. Like, can't wait to do another one with you. Can't wait to see it another event. So
I think my next event is Hartshorn for H-Town Throwdown, June 5th.
Sweet.
I'll be out there with Richard and Limpy and the whole gang.
There you go.
Unless something comes up between now and then.
Yeah.
But
June 3rd and 4th, 2nd and 3rd, or 3rd and 4th, I'll be in Ohio. And Cincinnati.
Ohio for what?
No Prep Kings.
Oh.
Cat out of the bag.
I wasn't, like I always wanted to go shoot like a JJ's arm drop or something like that, but I just never knew who to contact.
Shoot me a message. I'll get you the contact information.
All right. Well, I look forward to new opportunities.
Heck yeah. Let me know if I know we're going to Hebron, Ohio. I know that's a little bit of a drive from Wisconsin, but if you're in the neighborhood.
What side of Ohio is it?
It's over there, I think, by Columbus or Cincinnati. I don't remember.
Cincinnati's 5 hours, something like that. It's not terrible. It's not something that I just want to take off and go for a rip, but
I'm looking it up right now.
Is that going to be the kickoff or of the season of No Prep Kings? Yeah, that'd be cool. I've never done any I don't think I've ever shot a big tire race ever, unless it was like at a No Prep.
Bro, you need to come out my way.
It's just not my thing. Wheelie bars and prep.
Oh, it's absolutely my thing. I love everything on No Prep.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I like street too, but No Prep, track No Prep.
Yeah.
That's my life. It's about 30 miles outside of Columbus.
Columbus is a little far.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. But I'll definitely have to keep it in mind.
I'll shoot you over.
Trying to work out something in between, but I'll message you about that later.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know. I think that you'll be in the loop for sure on that one.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row and
get it lined up.
Figure out if I'm going or not.
Heck yeah, man. Yep.
But we'll have to reconvene at a later date and I'll let you know if it happened or not.
That'll work. Just let me know. And if
all right, man.
If I can make it up there, I'll come up there.
All right. Well, sounds good, and I look forward to talking to you.
Yes, sir. Take care, brother. We'll see you soon.
You too.
All right, bye.